Today we are going to install Oracle Linux on VirtualBox. So before installing Oracle Linux on VirtualBox, let's understand few basic details of Oracle Linux. So Oracle Linux is free and it is RPM based Linux operating system. Copy of Red Hat Enterprise Linux means it is a downstream of Red Hat Enterprise Linux and it is stable like Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Basic difference between Red Hat Enterprise Linux and Oracle Linux is for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you have to pay for subscription, and in Oracle Linux, it is free of cost for production use. Only thing is you have to pay for support if you want to buy support separately. That's the difference. And next thing is I want to show you about the CentOS project. There are changes in CentOS project and you might want to migrate from CentOS to Oracle. So the there are variants in CentOS right now available. Two variants are available: CentOS Linux and CentOS Stream. And CentOS Linux was the earlier variant. CentOS Stream is recently released, and CentOS Linux has end of life support, which is for CentOS Linux 7 it is 2024, and for CentOS Linux 8 it is 2021. And for Stream, it is there are end of licenses as well available, but the CentOS Linux project variant is not going to continue further. And CentOS Linux was the downstream project of downstream variant of the RHEL, and CentOS Stream is the upstream variant of the RHEL. So that means it is developed from the public branch, and it might not be the stable and it might not be the perfect operating system for the production use. Yes, CentOS Stream you can use for non-production use. So that's the reason you might want to migrate to Oracle Linux. So it's better to try Oracle Linux and understand how to install the Oracle Linux. So let's proceed with the installation of Oracle Linux. To install Oracle Linux, we need ISO file. So you can download ISO file from official page of Oracle. Uh, so on home page, you will find the button download Oracle Linux. Click on that. And on the screen, you will see the ISO images option. Click on that. And my architecture is x86-64. So I have already downloaded this complete ISO file. I can show you that ISO file. So this is the ISO file which I have already downloaded. And let's start installation of Oracle Linux. To install the Oracle Linux, we have to click on new, and let's give the name to the VM. I'm giving Oracle Linux. So you have to select the type as a Linux and version as Oracle 64-bit. Let's click on the next, and I'm going to give the 4 GB of memory to this VM since I have 16 GB available in my laptop. Click on next, and then we have to create the virtual disk. So click on create. I'm keeping default options since default option is sufficient for us, and click on next. And then there are two types of physical hard disk, which is dynamically allocated and a fixed size. So dynamically allocated is good for us. Fixed size takes some time because it will allocate entire disk before proceeding to the next step. So dynamically allocated, next. And here we have to select the disk size. So 12 GB is the recommended. So I'm keeping it 12 GB itself. Click on create. Now the VM is created, but before powering on this VM, you have to click on settings and attach the ISO file. So click on storage and go to the controller ID, click on empty, and click on this icon uh, and choose a disk file. So my disk file is in softwares, and this is the image. So click on OK. Once again, I'm going to settings, and before that I want to make one more change. I can keep video memory as it is 16 MB, and in system we have to change the number of processors. So number of processors I would be selecting is 2. Click on OK, and let's power on the VM. So VM powering is powered on, and we have to select the install Oracle Linux, the first option, and click on enter. So it will start the installation process. The mouse is captured, and to uncapture the mouse you have to click on right control. So it will uncapture the mouse. Close the warnings. This is a welcome screen where we will select the language for installation. So I'm selecting English. Click on continue. Now we have to fill few details here. So like we have to select the installation destination, and in this case the installation destination will be the VirtualBox hard disk, and click on done. So this is selected and it is verifying again. So warning is gone. Now the root password also we have to select. Click on that. So I have selected root password, but root password is not that much strong. So you will have to press done twice to confirm it. So I'm clicking on 2 times on done. And then user creation, which is optional, but I would recommend to create the normal user as well. So I'm giving it name techie beer, and I'm going to make this user as administrator so that I can run sudo commands with this user. And we have to select the password. So password is selected. Now click on done 2 times since my password is weak. For production use, create the strong password. Begin installation, and now installation is started. So installation is completed. Just an information, and let's reboot the system. Let's accept the license agreement. Click on done. Finish configuration, and then I will log in with TechieBeer user. Once I have logged in, I have to select the language, which is English by default, and then I have to select the keyboard. So my keyboard is not English US, it is Swedish. So I'm selecting Swedish keyboard. Click on next. Click on next and skip this. And we have started using Oracle Linux. One thing which you will identify once you have logged in, that your connection is not active, and you won't be able to install anything from internet, like yum install will fail. So to activate your internet connection at the startup of the operating system, you have to make few changes. So to make changes, I will go to this directory first, and there is a file ifcfg. I have to modify this file. So to modify this file, I need root permission. So I will use sudo vi ifcfg and password. So we have to only change this option from on boot to from no to yes, and enter. So now I will reboot VM again to check if this configuration works. So you can see here network is connected, and once we are done that, now next step will be guest additions. It is optional step, but if you are going to use this as a desktop operating system, or you are going to copy from host operating system to guest operating system, then guest additions are the useful. So to install the guest addition, we have to install some prerequisite first, and then we can install the guest additions. So to install, let's install prerequisite. Sudo yum install kernel uek dash devel dash dollar uname hyphen r. We need gcc as well. Bin utils automake perl base zip 2 elf utils dash lib elf dash devel, and let's give password. Yes, we'll install all. Yes. Now guest additions are installed. So we can install now. Sorry, guest additions are not yet installed. The prerequisites are installed now. So we will install guest additions. To install guest additions, go to devices, click on insert guest addition CD image. So it will insert the image, and then it will ask if you want to run the software. So I will click on run, so it will directly start installation process. Here we have to again provide password, and it has started installation. Now guest additions are installed, so you can see I don't have to click right control to bring mouse outside of guest VM, the virtual machine, I mean. And to make it effective, I have to reboot the VM so that I can resize the size of desktop as well. Okay, VM is up again, and let's log in. So once login, we have to double click on this to refresh. Double click, so we can see now I can resize the desktop size as per the monitor resolution. And plus, if I want to copy from host to guest, so I have to go to devices, and shared clipboard, I have to make it bidirectional. So I can copy from host to guest and guest to host. Both ways I can copy. So that is one benefit of installing guest additions. Second benefit is you can configure the shared folders. So I'm not going to configure the shared folders, but yeah, you can use the shared folders and you can copy paste files to the shared folder so that you can bring those files into the guest. And yeah, that's it about this video, I would say. So you can experiment with this operating system and let me know next time which operating system, Linux based operating system you want to experiment.